All right, hello people, it's Dr. Nezeo here again. I'm here to deliver on my promise for those that wanted to learn more about this biorhythms and how it can help you. Now, did you know that this is heavily relied on by professional poker players? What does that tell you? In fact, soccer players, NFL players, there's actually a book about that and how NFL players rely on biorhythms. In fact, their coaches, their guides for some of these sports people, celebrities, use that with their scheduling and how they don't put these players to play things that because when they're not at the top of their game or when they're at the top of their game, physically, emotionally, intellectually, intuitively for the poker players. Now you know those professional poker players don't play with their money, so you know they know what they're doing. You need to get in on this stuff too. And again, I'm not putting it out there for you to heavily rely on this one thing, okay? Because that's not my goal. It's for you to use it as a tool to actually strengthen your own inner guidance, which is what happened the first day I shared it for people. I was out in the operating room, and I knew I'd been feeling off for a while that I'd actually posted about. And I just look at my clock, and I'm like, ding, ding, there you go. My physical, emotional, and intellectual all at like negative 90 to 100, and my intuitive was very high. That's when I should have been doing all my divinations and intuitive readings for y'all, because then it would have been pure gold. But I am still riding on that high because I'm out here in nature, taking some time out to work on this book that I don't know, maybe 2-3 years, because I want to put my heart and serious wisdom in here. But anyway, biorhythms and why this is important for you. So a lot of times if you Google this on Google, you might hear about pseudoscience. Meanwhile, there's actually a dude, I don't forget his name, that put it about when famous athletes, basketball players, and I'll put that image in there for you, had cardiac arrests. And it corresponded to their lows on their physical cycles, on their biorhythms. Okay? And so be careful when you're on the internet looking up stuff and they're talking about quote unquote pseudoscience. See, I think it was about 20 years ago in med school, and they had put things up here about like acupuncture and even Reiki and even some herbs. And they had these studies and they showed it was pseudoscience and it was a sham. Okay, well, fast forward to today and it sure works. Okay, so I love science. I respect science. Science is a baby when it comes to where it originated from, which is from spirituality, the ancient ancestral wisdom of spirit. And we want to understand something. Science is working on the physical for us to understand the physical aspects, which is the limited versions of us. It's our finite versions. It's coming from the great grandparents of spirit and spirituality, which is our infinite versions, our limitless versions. That is where truth is in spirit. In science, things can be proven true today, false tomorrow, true yesterday, false in the future. That's what, because this physical and science that we're arts, it's like, it's an illusion, it's our perception, it's ever changing, okay? And so me saying, don't, listen to your inner guidance basically and use this as a tool to strengthen your inner guidance and not to rely on it. So biorhythms, founded way before the 1900s. The first scientist, I think, was a friend of Sigmund Freud. And they studied people and got to understand this physical cycle that happens every 23 days, and then the emotional cycle that happens every 28 days. And then a second scientist actually corroborated that independently, Swoboda, to say, okay, you know what, this is actually real because this happens. And then a third person who was an engineer in Australia, Andrew Tesla, also studying with his students, found, these rhythms actually correlate. And they had been used forever. There have been sports players back in the 1970s, they showed, that relied on these things for how they would plan out their sports and events. Fast forward to today, where people are having cardiac events, and there's a book a guy wrote about biorhythms and how he put it out there and how it correlated with some of these players that had that with their physical cycles being at the lowest. Okay? And so, that to say, if you're feeling some sort of a way, this is at zero cost to you. I will put out the links in there so you can download it for free, take it as my Black Friday special, but also look at my other deals, okay? But zero cost to you. Try it out for 3 to 6 months. And especially when you're feeling a little low, your emotions are kind of all over the place, depressed or too sharp or whatever, look at it, okay? Because when your cycles are really high, then you can really go out there and do a lot of things around that time, whether it's the physical one that's high, the emotional one that's high, you know, where you're feeling, again, don't overdo it. Don't, okay, because it's my physical, I'm going to go all out and do all this crazy stuff, because the higher you push when you're in your highs, the lower you're going to hit when you're in your lows. Okay, the usual more like even keel time is when you're right in the center in the 0 point field. And then when you're past that point and you're going in the negative, start to dial things down, whatever cycle that you're on, especially when those cycles are all looping together, when the physical, the emotional, and the intellect, like when they're all looping together. Do your best to dial it down. Don't schedule big meetings, negotiations. Don't make a lot of big deals. Don't do spontaneous things if your intuitive cycle is on the low. Okay? All right? So things like that. And so I wanted to share that. I don't know how many of you know about it, but because some of you responded to yes, I'm sharing it out here. Let me know if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you want to know more about it. I can do a little bit more. I actually learned about this from my wonderful, wonderful mentor, Dr. Barbara Condrone. She is an expert and a master at a lot of these things. And we can always do a short live if you guys want to know more about how you can use it better, especially when you're in that 0 point field. All right. Y'all have a wonderful, blessed day. I'm going to go back to writing my little book and with my little mini-me. Say hi. All right. One love, everybody. Ashe, Ise.